And welcome to this episode of Cardinal Film Fights. I'm your host and judge and moderator, Mark Rollins. Before we get started, I want to inform all our viewers out there that we are having a giveaway. What are we giving away, you ask? We are giving away a $10 AMC gift card. And no, it's not AMC like the out-of-business car company that made the infamous AMC Gremlin. God-awful ugly, am I right? Anybody know? Nobody knows what I'm talking about. But no, this AMC is a movie theater. So you can take that $10 and go see a movie. Or, like, get a snack and leave, I guess. Get, like, one snack and leave. But no, go see a movie. And so, if you retweet our tweets about the giveaway, you are entered for a chance to win that gift card. Now, moving right along, today we have Drew, Kyle, and Tyler. I'm going to ask them to reintroduce themselves, give their major, their year, and just a fun fact about themselves. So, Drew, we'll start with you.
Hello, my name is Drew Gadosh. I'm a senior here at Ball State University. Did you say you wanted my major, too?
Yeah.
Public communication, kind of. Creative writing minor, which I prefer. And a fun fact about me?
Yeah, why not?
Well, I wear a size 15 shoe.
That is a fun fact.
It's a large fact.
it's a big fact. Move right down along the line.
Hello, I'm Kyle Israel. I'm a telecommunications major with a minor in creative writing and theater. Fun fact about myself, I consider myself a professional Burt Macklin impersonator. The last few Halloweens, I have dressed as Burt Macklin, FBI. So, yeah.
That's... He gets invited to parties, weddings, the whole shebang. And finally...
My name is Tyler Moore. I am a senior here at Ball State University studying advertising. I need a job, so that's not my fun fact. My fun fact is I'm a mediocre poet, so follow me at Randallmore95 on Instagram.
Wonderful. Awesome. So let's dive right into it. The question for this episode, gentlemen, is the best coming out moment in a movie. We're going to start with a 30-second introduction. You're just going to give, like, the basic, it's like, overview of what your argument's going to be. Then we're going to go into the 5-minute form. And then after the 5-minute form, we're going to finish with a 60-second clip. Oh, no, I mixed those up, didn't I? It's been a while. In case you haven't noticed, I've been gone for a while, but I'm back, so here I am. It's going to be a 60-second introduction, followed by a 5-minute form and a 30-second conclusion to just kind of wrap up all your talking points. So we'll start with Tyler and go that way.
Okay. So for my best coming out moment, I am choosing Ellen Morgan from The Ellen Show. I think that this is the best coming out moment simply because of a precedent. She was the first gay lead character on television to ever come out of the closet. And I think this is really important because it also coincided with her personal self coming out. So, and I think that the whole moment really reflected on who she was as a person. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and social impact.
All right. Move right along to Kyle.
Hello. My argument is a tad unconventional. I will be arguing for Will Truman from the show Will and Grace. Now, it's common knowledge throughout both the show and popular media that Will Truman is gay. He says this multiple times. So at what point does he come out? Well, in season 3, episode 9, part 1 and 2, we actually see the coming out story of Will Truman. And my argument for why that's the best coming out story is not based on shock value and is not based on built up tension over episodes, is instead based on resonancy. As a gay man who came out, I relate to this because I made a lot of mistakes in how I came out and the people I impacted. And Will Truman creates a very deep divide with his best friend Grace when he comes out because of his own mistakes. So I believe it's a message that you need to accept who you are, but know that there will be consequences to your actions, and it's not always either party's fault. Sometimes you can't help what happens. All right.
All right. And we'll finish up with Drew.
All right, what better way to come out than in a violent bar fight in downtown Chicago against your homophobic father, who mere episodes later forced you to have sex with a prostitute in front of your boyfriend? I think that's really kind of the essence of who Mickey Milkovich from Shameless is, his relationship with Ian, and in the lieu of their looming breakup, you could say, Mickey decides to come out. His father, who has been blatantly homophobic for, at this point, 3 seasons, starts a fight with him, and Mickey, being the hot-headed gay man that he is, decided to fight back for once. And this shows media that coming out isn't always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be beautiful. It defeats this idea that gay men are delicate, that gay men can't fight. And it also shows you that not all family members are going to accept you, but that's okay because gay people, queer people are able to make their own families and find their own families.
All right. Well, then we'll go straight into our 5-minute form where you'll duke it out between each other and see who comes out on top. And begin!
I will throw the first punch. Okay, so with Will coming out in Will and Grace, my biggest problem with this is the fact that it's kind of a joke. I mean, when he comes out, he basically fits into this mold of a queer character that is the brunt of the joke. The episode that he comes out to his mom in, they take this serious moment, and it's maybe about 2 minutes of a scene, and then they immediately flip it into poking fun at his gay traits, and they also say that his father is not his father, and then that becomes the main argument in the whole scene, is that not his sexuality, but that his father really isn't his father.
That's actually Jack McFarlane that you're referring to.
Damn it!
Also,
Jack,
speaking of
yes.
jokes, was it not Ellen who said that she was a lesbian through a microphone in the middle of the airport so that everyone in that room heard her?
Yes, she did do that.
That
but
was used for comedic relief for a straight audience in the 1990s because they decided that, hey, we're going to make this moment more of a funny moment for Ellen. We're going to make this more of a moment
I disagree.
so that people
I
can
don't
laugh.
think that at all.
I do.
think that they made it a joke because she's a comedian in real life, and she's actually a funny person in real life. That's who she is as a person. And when she was coming out in the show, she was also coming out in real life, and that's who she is in real life. So I think that, yes, it is a joke, but it's not in that way, like that you're putting it. It's in a way that it reflects who she is as a person in real life.
But I say that media in the 90s and media back in the early 2000s as well decided to choose coming out as a way for a straight gaze so that people could better understand it or people could feel a little more comfortable with it. And that's what they did with Ellen. I feel like that moment would be so much more impactful if that would have been an intimate moment.
I think I agree with that, but in the planning of the episode, it was actually completely planned, and it was done with, so originally Ellen told the writers and told the producer of the show, I'm coming out. And in that process, they immediately said, no, you're not coming out. Like, you can't do that. And she said, no, I'm coming out. And they finally said yes, and in doing so, they let her sit down with the writers and producers of the show, and she got to write her own coming out in the movie, or in the TV show. So that coming out was directly impacted and influenced by Ellen in real life. So that was the way that she wanted to come out. She wrote that.
So do you think if she wrote that in 2017, 2018, it would be the same coming out story, that she would want it to be over a microphone in front of everyone?
I actually do, because I think that's Ellen's personality. I think she would want it in a comical and humorous way.
And you have to be careful looking at something from the 90s through a 2018 perspective.
Well, let's hear about Shameless a little bit.
I mean, a little bit about Shameless. I understand that these characters are not what you would typically see in media as these gay characters. I really do think Ian and Mickey are both completely dynamic gay men in this show that you will not typically see. One is neurodivergent, suffering with bipolar depressive disorder. The other is from a low socioeconomic class and is struggling with his own sexuality, but comes into it when he starts dating Ian. And I think there's just these moments where you can see these two grow as gay men, and you can actually see this gay youth come forward, and you can see the struggle that a lot of gay youth actually go through, because I think media has really done a good job, not so much a good job, actually a poor job at showing these pristine lives of gay characters, and it's not always that case.
I have one problem with Mickey's coming out story, and other than this one problem, I'll be honest, like I think it's a good representation of coming out in the current day, and not a stereotypical way that queer people come out. My one problem is that the only reason he did it was because his masculinity was called into question by Ian. He would not have come out of the closet if Ian hadn't come up and called him a coward and not a real man. And that is my biggest problem.
I'm going to cut you off there a little, Tyler, because I want to hear about Will before we run out of time here.
Well, Will Truman, The show is called Will and Grace, and it's important to note that how Will comes out creates a divide between the two. For a whole year, Grace doesn't talk to him. And after he comes out, this is of course after he proposes in order to hide his sexuality, she kicks him out of the house. And they've been apart for a year. But they come back and mend their relationship over the years, and now we see them in their current relationship.
When Will came out of the closet, it was literally, there was no emotion on his side. They made Grace the victim. She was crying. She was hysterical. Will showed no emotion at all in the scene. And as a gay person, when you're coming out, you're going to be more emotional than the person receiving that. You're going to have more things going through your head
But Will
than the
also
person
knew that he
receiving
was
that.
kind of in the wrong.
Okay. We'll do our 30-second conclusions, and we'll start with Drew and then come back this way.
Wonderful. I think, honestly, Mickey and Ian, yes, there is an issue with that masculinity being called into question, but as of right now, in this current political climate, in this current world that we live in, this is the best representation for queer youth that are struggling and the queer youth that don't fit into this idea that this is what queer is and this is what media is playing as queer. So this coming out moment is really special for those kids who are just a little different.
Do Kyle next.
With Will Truman, it's less about the outcome, because we know the outcome, but it's more about the journey and how it impacted his relationships. Through the coming out process, he befriends Jack McFarlane and eventually repairs his relationship with Grace, and it shows how coming out is really not just about you, it's also about the people around you.
And we'll finish with Tyler.
Yeah, Ellen's coming out was a huge societal shift in the direction that we, I think, are currently in today and still traveling in. I think her coming out is the best, not only because of this, but because it coincided with who she was in real life, and it just brings the coming out process really full circle. And I also think that without Ellen coming out, would we have had Will come out? Would we have had Will and Grace? Would we have had Mickey come out? Like, she set the precedent.
Any facts to be checked, Vaughn?
Just real quick, Tyler, did you say that the studios discouraged Ellen from coming out on the show?
Yeah, they originally told her no, and then after she kept talking about it, they finally gave her a yes.
Okay, yeah, I looked into that, and I found an article that said that they were, like, pretty okay with it as long as the script was okay, and that may have been after the first rejection, but just thought I'd throw that in there.
Any other questions, comments from anybody in the audience? Know that it's on me. Oh boy. Ooh. Before I judge, I just want to say that I think all of you did a great job arguing, and I think you've all made some really great points. I think from the perspective of the current political climate and current impact, I think Shameless is, a great position to take in terms of just like the interpersonal effects of, just of that process. I think Kyle's Will and Grace makes a good point, and just in the kind of setting the precedent and like opening the gates for these other two shows to do what they did. I think Ellen also is a great choice, but I have to make a final decision on who is first, second, and third. You know what I'm gonna say? That's the noise I make so you know that I'm thinking. I say that every episode, but I haven't been able to say that. Man, that feels good to say that. Okay. So, my verdict. I'm gonna give first to Drew, second to Kyle, third to Tyler. And it's millimeters apart. It's millimeters apart.
Thank you for that.
Drew, I'm giving you first because I think that Shameless, I think your description shows the most multifaceted kind of 3D and kind of most realistic, applicable version of how hard coming out can be.
Yeah.
And I think, definitely in this political climate, I think you've shown how far television has come in portraying that process. Kyle, I think yours is great because it shows, coming out is not just this personal process. It's really a wider social implication than what a lot of people realize, and I think Will shows that. And Tyler, I think yours is the foundation for which these two are able to stand, but at the same time, being the foundation, it doesn't have the opportunity to be as nuanced and as developed as these two have been able to by looking on yours. I think you made a great argument that, Ellen's was very personal, and it was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very impactful because of like the real life connection that the show had to it. But I think it's just it set the stage for further development. So for this fight, first place Drew, second place Kyle, third place Tyler. Thank you for tuning. I'm from the Midwest, if you can't tell. Tuning in to this episode of Cardinal Film Fights. Remember to retweet our tweets so you can win a $10 AMC gift card. Go treat yourself to a movie. Please like and subscribe our Facebook, our YouTube, our Twitter, all our social media platforms. I'm Mark Rollins. Thank you for watching Cardinal Film Fights.